Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. I would like you to spend just 10 minutes of your time, inshallah. I haven't sat here as a scholar or a alim or a sheikh. I've sat here as a health and fitness expert. And I want to share something with you, inshallah, today concerning our health. An epidemic, actually, that most people are not aware of. It affects more than 80% of the population. Some of you might find it controversial, strange, but for me it's just to share with you so that what you do with the information is up to you. ليهلك من هلك عن بينة ويحيى من حي عن بينة. The tribulations of the times we're living in now is that knowledge has been misrepresented. And this is what we call in Arabic to let this al-batil bil-haq wal-haq bil-batil. And this is in order to confuse people, because the nature of dunya is to confuse. In a hadith that is found in Nasa'i, Ibn Majah and Tirmidhi, Sahih hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, ما ملأ ابن آدم وعاء شرا للبطن كفى ابن آدم مقيمات قلنا بها ظهره أو صدره فإن كان لا محالة فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is talking about nutrition 101. That the worst kind of vessel that a human being can fill is the stomach, and that a small portion or morsel of food is enough for him to straighten his back. And if you have to eat, at least eat a small portion for food, leave a small portion for water and for breathing. The epidemic I'm talking about is something that is very common. And we're going to get very, very personal today. It's a very personal issue. In the sense that if I give you just some of the symptoms and signs of this epidemic I'm talking about, like having excess weight, especially central obesity, what we call central obesity, which affects mostly men, having skin tags, these tags that you find mostly on forehead skins, around the neck, armpit, groin. If you have high blood pressure, high blood sugar, obesity, all those symptoms are symptoms of an epidemic that is called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance or syndrome X is a condition that is so common and affects so many people that I think it only, people might think, oh, we just went through an epidemic a couple of years ago, COVID, and believe me, even COVID, those people who got COVID, it was worse for them, for most of them had this underlying issue of insulin resistance. So what is insulin resistance? As we know, the type of food we all eat, we have three types of foods, or macronutrients. We have carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Two of these are essentials, meaning you have to eat them. Our body needs it. That is protein and fat. If you eat protein, it gets broken down into amino acid, the simplest form of protein, so that your body will absorb it. And if you take fat, it gets broken down into fatty acid. That is the simplest form of fat. The third one is carbohydrates, which is not essential. And this is the huge amount of our meals that we take is made up of carbohydrates. If not 90%, at least 80% of our food that we consume is made up of carbohydrates. When you eat carbohydrates, it gets broken down into sugar, into glucose. So when you eat carbohydrates, especially processed carbs that we eat, you just know that you're eating sugar. So how does this insulin resistance comes to play in our life. So when you consume carbohydrates, when they say carbohydrates, I mean rice, the food that we eat, pasta, pastries, pizzas, and the likes. When you consume it, it goes into your body and affects your blood sugar. Your blood sugar goes up. And since if your blood sugar goes up and stays up for a long time, it's acutely lethal. It can literally kill us. Our body has to produce insulin from the pancreas to lower the sugar. Because if it stays too low, as I said, which is acutely lethal, what happens is that our kidney starts to dump all that sugar. And when it dumps all sugar, it goes, our blood volume goes down and our blood pressure goes down. And because we are a system and we are a column of water, we need that pressure to pump up to our brain, which is more susceptible to this drop of blood sugar and blood volume. So insulin comes, lowers your blood sugar, and once it does its job, it goes back to its fortress of solitude, and everything goes wrong. The tragedy of the lives that we're living in now is that we constantly consume carbohydrates, that we are always in a state of hyperglycemia, meaning our blood sugar is always high. And most of us, we do it because it's mostly what we've been advised to do, that we've been advised to eat lots of carbohydrates and at least have 6 to 7 meals a day. You eat breakfast, in between you take a snack, lunch, snack, supper, snack. So every time you consume, it affects your blood sugar, and your body has to produce insulin to lower that sugar. And because it takes 3 to 4 hours for a normal human being insulin to go back to a normal fasting insulin, every 3 hours you consume something, insulin is produced. So you are always in two states of hyperglycemia, that is high blood sugar, and hyperinsulinemia, that is high blood insulin. Now, if you go to a doctor, most people do is that they just check your blood sugar. They don't check your insulin level. Insulin is a better predictor than sugar, especially when it comes to type 2 diabetes. So the more you consume carbohydrates, the more your cells produce, the more your pancreas produce insulin, and the more your cells become resistant to that insulin. And this is where the term insulin resistance comes in. So what happens when your body becomes insulin resistant? Number one, your blood sugar starts going up. Most people, when I say insulin resistant, it's not a journey that takes place in a week or 2. Even before you become a full-blown type 2 diabetes, it might take you 5, 10, 15, even 20 years. But before you become a fully-blown type 2 diabetes, meaning your blood sugar is out of control, you will find that you already have excess body weight, you have arthritis, you have high blood pressure, you have PCOS in women, that is polycystic ovarian syndrome, is the number 1 cause of infertility in women. You have cognitive problems, you have brain fog. All these are linked to insulin resistance. The problem is that when you go to a conventional doctor, and it's not that I'm trying to bash doctors here, with all due respect, is that when you go to the doctor, mostly they will give you medication for each of these conditions, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's arthritis, obesity, cardiovascular condition, which is all linked to one root cause, which is insulin resistance. So it's very important for us to understand first how we came about to become an insulin resistant person and how to solve it. And this if we come back to the root cause, it comes back to what you eat and the kind of lifestyle you live. So what you eat is what you become. That term is so apt. What you eat, your food, will either be something that will make you sick or will be something that will cure you. It's a double-edged sword. Same to HABIB. So how do we approach this insulin resistance? Because insulin resistance is a precondition before you become a fully blown type 2 diabetes. And we know, how many people do we know that who are type 2 diabetes? I'm not talking about type 1 because these are two different kind of conditions. Type 1 diabetes is a complete lack of insulin. Even the treatment is totally different. But type 2 is too much insulin that is not working. The cells have become resistant to it. So how do you approach it? We go back to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says what? He says that it's enough for a person to eat a small portion of food to straighten his back. Number one, we should avoid carbohydrates. We should go low carb. It's called low carb. At least not more than 60 grams of carbohydrates a day. And then you should prioritize fats and protein. Because if you don't take enough protein, your body will be craving for more food until you reach that threshold. And that's why if you look at the kind of meal that our forefathers used to eat, especially Somalis, they used to eat milk and meat mostly, and fat. Even though they used to walk a lot, just like Maasais, they were very lean people. No excess fat, no cardiovascular condition, no lifestyle condition that we suffer from now. 100 years ago, people used to suffer from infectious disease, pneumonia, leprosy, things that when antibiotics was discovered, it completely eradicated those conditions. Now we've been left with non-communicable conditions which are directly linked to the type of lifestyle we live and what we eat. So when you're dealing with a lifestyle condition, the only approach you can cure it with is through dietary intervention or lifestyle intervention. You can never cure or address a lifestyle condition through medication. Let me give you a simple analogy. People who have high blood sugar or type 2 diabetes, they go to a doctor, they are given maybe metformin or glucophage, or at worst they are given insulin, which is the wrong type of medication for type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, the root cause of type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance, what we just mentioned. The high sugar is the symptom. It's just like you have a malaria that is caused by mosquitoes. And since you have malaria, we know that it goes with high fever. You go to a doctor gives you medication for the high fever, but not for the malaria. The same way you go to a doctor, he gives you metformin or glucophage to do what? To lower your sugar. But the root cause, which is insulin resistance, is still there. So after a couple of years, 3 years, they increase the dosage. 5 years, you start having eyesight problems. 10, 57 years, you have food ulcers, neuropathy. 15 years, kidney problems. And then when your time comes, you die. Why did the condition progress? It's because what you've been addressing is only the symptom of the condition. And this is not an infectious disease. This is not corona or homa or pneumonia that you can just easily cure with antibiotics. This needs for you to go to the root cause, which is insulin resistance, which is directly linked to the kind of lifestyle that you live. Then from there you see difference. So as I said, you cut back on your carbohydrates, you up your protein and fat. So the food that I've just mentioned, everyone is like this. So instantly you just mentioned everything that we eat, even deciding when we go to break our fast. That's what we will be eating. Jele, kaimati, samosas, right? So what are you going to eat? You know, for me here it's just to identify the problem. But I cannot force anyone to change his or her lifestyle. But believe me, this condition is so rampant. It is so rampant, especially in men. The first sign of insulin resistance in men is erectile dysfunction. I know this is a very, very sensitive topic in men, but believe me, it is linked directly to the amount of fat you carry. And this is why, if even statistically, when they look at the deaths, men tend to die more from health issues that way. Why? Because of this what we call central obesity. We tend to accumulate fat. The first place we accumulate fat is where? In our midsection. And this is visceral fat that goes around, it covers the internal organs like kidney, liver, fatty liver. That condition is a very common condition, fatty liver, and it's brought about not by fat, it's brought about by sugar. You blame fat for what sugar has done. This is the problem. This is the confusion I was talking about. So make your food, make your diet very simple. Whatever you're eating, is it the way Allah has created it? Does it come the way it's supposed to be? Organic, healthy, fresh. If it comes in a package or a package, that's not meant for human consumption. That's meant for experiments or labs, rats, everything. So you should prioritize meat. Tell a fatty meat. Nyama ambayo kwa mafuta. Not lean meat. Unajua kuna watu wengine wanafurahi kugira hii mafuta. Saturated fat, as long as it comes from a healthy animal that eats grass, it grazes grass naturally. So this is the way of grains and antibiotics now. It's very healthy. You cannot find a protein that comes without fat naturally. The only way you can find protein that has no fat is something that has been read in the lab. So prioritize protein. Healthy fats. What are we going to eat? What are healthy fats? Ghee, butter, tallow being often around. Even when you buy that fatty meat, normally I use that same fat to cook with my meat. That's what I do. I don't use a lianto, fry. I don't know this mufta you buy from the supermarkets. Those mafutas are so inflammatory. The difference between those oil and the oil that they use in to run machines in factories is just a single molecule. That's the difference. So what we use for cooking is highly inflammatory. That's why we have joint problems. That's why we have you go to bed, you're tired. Yeah? You just feel like you have brain fog. Why? Because you consume number one. Let me give you an example from our community for months. So when we wake up, we eat angela, which is made of flour, unga. It's cooked with that oil I was talking about. And then, before you eat, you take sugar, they sprinkle sugar on top of it. And then the cup, the tea. That's water tea. I think there is like 6 or 7 spoonfuls of sugar. That is an atomic bomb. Because what it will the kind of wrecking it will do to your body, that is the problem. It will inflame your body. I remember when I was young, I used to look my mom, when they wake up, the first thing they sit around with the neighbors, and then, how was your night in Somalia? I'm happy to be here. على حل المسيحان ورا الحركة أنا literally. My mom used to say, Jana, I haven't slept last night nicely because I feel like I have a spear that I have a spear right on my back. What she was talking about is inflammation. Because the kind of food that we eat that is high in sugars and carbohydrates, it inflames our blood vessels. And inflammation is the root cause, the cornerstone of every lifestyle condition. And it makes you age also faster. So conditions like cancer, it's a metabolic condition. Cancer spreads in the body, come out. The 2 most common types of cancer, breast cancer that affects women and prostate cancer that affects men, are almost linked to insulin resistance. The similarity is, the connection is uncanny. Insulin affects every single cell in your body. Can you imagine that? Every single cell in your body, whether it's your liver, liver cell, it's your kidney cell, it's your muscle cell. It has an insulin receptor. Where insulin comes, like a key, it puts in and it tells the cells to do something. The breast, a normal breast has one insulin receptor. A breast that is cancerous has 7 insulin receptors. So you can imagine someone who consumes a lot of sugar, all those receptors, they are just waiting for that sugar because they say cancer cells feed on sugar. So they are just waiting for that sugar to come in and consume. And that's why breast cancer is so common and prostate cancer in men over 40. If you go over 40, come on, you should be very careful. You don't have that luxury of eating whatever the rest are eating. Because it will affect your sugar, as we said, and your insulin level will go up, so you will always be living in a hyperinsulinic state. That is where your insulin level is always high. So, solution number 1, fasting. Apart from local fasting, I mean, is like panacea. SubhanAllah. Our religion is a beautiful religion. The hadith that I just mentioned, it's a classic example of how we're supposed to live. The kind of lifestyle the Prophet ﷺ has left us with, but we don't follow it. Yeah, we eat 5 to 6 meals a day. Fasting, if you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, please don't eat. That is after Ramadan. I'm not talking about now. After Ramadan, if you're not hungry, do not eat. There is a reason why you're not hungry. Most of us, we suffer from craving. There's a difference between hunger and craving. Most of us are addicted to sugar. Craving is a sign of addiction. We are addicted to what? To sugar. Rice is sugar. Mandazi is sugar. Bread is sugar. All of us. So when you have that craving, you think that it's what? It's hunger. It's not hunger. It's because number 1, you don't eat protein, and you haven't reached that threshold that you need to have. So your cells are still, they still want to be fed. So if you wake up in the morning and you're hungry, you won't eat. Number 2, try and have 2 meals a day that is high in protein and fat. Those fat that I mentioned, butter, ghee, avocados, tallow, when you use extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, nyama, you eat meat, fish, chicken, what is other chicken? Eggs number 1. If you're not allergic to eggs, because some people are allergic to it, egg is a number 1 protein. Even the ratio of 1 to 1, they use eggs as an example of the quality of protein. So normally I take 10 to 12 eggs a day. Sometimes I even take 15. So it's very healthy, especially for men. Wanaume ambao wako na mabibi, kula mayai ya kutosha. I use those oil. I either fry or boil. So even when you boil, don't boil it sana.
Will you remove the yolk or you eat with the yolk?
No, you eat with the yolk. I know some people are afraid of the yolk because of the fat content. Oh, cholesterol. Cholesterol is the biggest scam of the century. I couldn't keep count of cholesterol. Unless you have a heart condition whereby your doctor has operated on you and then put you on statins, that's different. But you just go to the doctor and then he puts you on statin and the cholesterol lowering medication. Oh my God. The side effects of statins like Lipitor, like Crestor, all those drugs that lower cholesterol, they are so dangerous. Actually, they are the number 1 selling drugs in America. It's worth $40 to $60 billion a year. And it's one of the most highly prescribed medication. Was there to have cholesterol? I used to eat meat on a daily basis, everything. And cholesterol is essential. You cannot live without cholesterol. Over 70% of our brain is made from cholesterol. All of our sex hormones is made from cholesterol. All of our nerve signals are made from cholesterol. Cholesterol is so important to your body that your liver makes it. Actually, the 70% of the cholesterol that you check in your blood is what your liver has made. How can your liver body make something that is bad for you? How? Doesn't make sense, right? So, if you care about your sexual life, stay away from cholesterol. Because you know, kitu ya kwanza inazima. It affects your sex hormones, it affects your brain. Unakuwa ni mtu kusahau sana. I know a friend who used to have that problem of forgetting about it. So I asked him, I know when you study this, what is that cholesterol? Do you take cholesterol and drugs? Yes. For 7 years he was taking it. Alhamdulillah, he stopped it and he's very fine because his doctor told him the day you stop taking this, you just drop it. So all these issues, my brother, I'm not saying that we should follow these instructions so that we could live forever. Oh no. The day you will die is that day Allah has ordained for you. You can never miss that one. What I'm talking about is the quality of life. Would you rather live 100 years in and out of hospital, or 60 years of quality life that you can pray to Allah and you can be there for your family? So it's not about longevity, it's about the quality of life that you live. Even the Prophet when he was talking about longevity, he wasn't talking about the number of years that we live, but the quality in the years that we live. So brothers and sisters, that was just an introduction. I told you I'll be very personal. I was just trying to share what I know through experience. This is what I do. I do consultancy, health and fitness consultancy, especially to people about Wazito. So, it's the information that I've given you is for you to make use of it. If you have any question, one or two I can let me help answer it. Otherwise, don't avoid whatever. Pula nyama, hizo nyama ya kutosha. You will never regret it. Now,
cutting down from the cups. I know, like it's going to be a challenge.
Yes.
What's the best
approach?
Personally, I'm a Japan.
We are all. The best way, if you cannot go contact, you go slow. And the best way is to avoid things like breakfast takeaway. You start avoiding breakfast, you push if you have used to have breakfast, let's say at 8. You push the line at 10. I love you go to I don't like that. And if you have to go to breakfast, at least avoid doing that. Because there is no compromise there. You have to because of the gluten. Yeah, gluten is highly inflammatory. It affects our stomach, especially absorption functions. So if you can avoid uga, even if you eat various pasta, but it's not portion, you'll see changes. Now,
You said butter as well.
sorry.
You said butter.
But yes.
When you make chicken protein, you use it instead of oil.
You can use what?
Instead of using cooking oil, you use butter to
You use butter, yes, in place of the normal. Now,
What are some other cuts?
butter, ghee, tallow, no tallow, the one that comes from cow, avocado, coconut, extra virgin oil, this kind of thing. Yeah. Now,
about with trauma injection, which is the best.
trauma is better. Me, I do trauma and I mean boil and trauma. Those two. But when I do trauma, I don't overdo it. I just make sure that you eat at that's it. Because if you overdo it, when that skin can bring the top skin. Yeah. Watu wende siko nataka kuzitaja jibu hapo, watu wasema huku biashara.